All right, let's talk about a story that's just wow. It's about a leader whose biggest, most incredible win came directly from his absolute deepest humiliation. We're diving into the amazing comeback story of Ratan Tata.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? Here's a guy who creates the cheapest car in the world, but in the process, learns life's most expensive lessons. His whole journey, from being this total underdog, in his own company no less, to becoming a global titan, it's just a masterclass in how you can take rejection and turn it into pure rocket fuel.
So to really get who this man is, we've got to go back to the beginning. And trust me, it wasn't some story of inherited privilege. It was a story forged in a quiet and pretty lonely fight.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It shows you right away he had a challenging start. At just 10 years old, his parents split up, and he ends up being raised by his grandmother. Think about that for a second. At an age that's all about playing and being a kid, his world was defined by this feeling of loneliness. And when he finally does join the family business, no silver spoon. Nope. He was sent straight to the factory floor to start from the absolute bottom with everyone else. And what's really incredible is that even with the last name Tata, he was basically treated like an outsider in his own empire. He wasn't the chosen one. He was the underdog, through and through. His ideas, constantly questioned. His plans, almost always rejected. The general feeling was pretty simple. He just wasn't cut out for it. But, it was this constant struggle that forged his most audacious dream, a vision that would lead him straight into the single most humiliating moment of his entire career. And that dream was the Tata Nano. Now, for Ratan Tata, this was never just about building a car. It was way bigger than that. It was a mission. He would see entire families, mom, dad, kids, all crowded onto a single scooter in really unsafe conditions, and he just envisioned a safe, affordable car that the average person in India could actually own. But the rest of the world, they just laughed. Seriously, the whole idea was mocked, called an impossible fantasy. But through all that skepticism, his belief, it just never wavered. Because for him, this wasn't just some business plan. It was a promise. But that promise took a heavy toll. The financial strain was absolutely immense, and it pushed his company, Tata Motors, right to the very edge. Things got so bad that he was faced with a completely heartbreaking decision. He might have to sell the very car business he was fighting so hard to build. So he flies all the way to the US to meet with Ford. He's hoping, for a lifeline, a way out. But instead, he gets hit with just complete humiliation. The Ford executives literally told him to his face, "You don't know anything about cars. Why did you even start this business?" And get this, they actually said that buying his company would be a favor to him. A favor. Can you just imagine that moment? Flying home that night, he was silent and just deeply humiliated. But here's the thing. Something inside him didn't break. That insult, that awful moment, it actually became a turning point. And this quiet strength, this stubborn refusal to be defeated, well, that was maybe his greatest asset of all. And this, right here, is where the story truly flips. That moment of rejection didn't become his ending. Oh no, it became the fuel for one of the most incredible comebacks in business history. The story doesn't end in that US boardroom. That's exactly where the next chapter begins. 9 years. That's it. That's all it took. In the world of giant global businesses, that's like the blink of an eye. But in those 9 short years, the tables were about to turn in the most dramatic way you can possibly imagine.
So let's remember this first scene. In that first meeting, Ratan Tata was the one in need, right? He was the seller. Ford had all the power. They were the buyer, the ones in a position to do him a favor.
And now, check this out. 9 years later, the roles are completely 180 degrees reversed. Now Ford is the one on the brink of bankruptcy. And who do they fly to for a bailout? They fly to Mumbai to meet the very same man they humiliated, and they ask him to buy 2 of their most iconic brands, Jaguar and Land Rover. The man they said knew nothing about cars was now their buyer. You just can't make this stuff up. So the real point here isn't just about a brilliant business deal. It's not just about getting revenge. It's about the profound legacy of resilience his life teaches every single one of us. His journey is just such a powerful lesson. It shows that where you start, even if it's on a factory floor, that doesn't have to define you. It teaches us that rejection is pretty much guaranteed. And yeah, insults are probable.
But real strength isn't about avoiding the fall, it's about the refusal to stay down. It's about that quiet, stubborn belief in yourself when the rest of the world has totally counted you out.
This quote just perfectly nails his whole philosophy. He didn't just dodge the stones of criticism and mockery and insult that were thrown his way. No, he caught every single one and used them as the building blocks for his empire, for his palace.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? We all face criticism. We all face rejection and doubt. Those are the stones that get thrown at us every day. So Ratan Tata's story really forces us to ask ourselves, are we just dodging them or are we collecting them to build our own palace?